Jodie, where are you?
They're back. They're all around me.
Good God, Jodie, what's happening?
I'm tired. I'm so tired. I don't think I'm gonna make it.
Tell me where you are.
Ever since I was born, I've been linked to an entity. I know. They're coming.
When it first came across the idea of doing a video game, I didn't even understand what that meant. I didn't know how to kind of wrap my head around that concept. What does that mean? Do you just do a little voice? Like I didn't understand what that meant. And then, you know, looking at the material and looking at this journey that this young woman goes through over a large amount of time, and the sort of emotional complexity of it, and the idea that this, you know, female protagonist was going to be in a video game who was like this was so exciting to me. I was so grateful that that was just going to exist.
I had done motion capture before, and I think that's interesting. I'm interested in all kinds of ways of performing. And also just the project smelled like David is, the people that he works with, it feels like it's, they're pioneers. And I just like the smell of it all.
I guess the challenges of doing a video game and doing this in particular was the, you know, amount of work we did every day, you know, like doing 30, 40 pages, and like just the simple act of memorizing the dialogue and telling a story that when you're shooting a scene can have, obviously, as you know, because it's a video game, 4 or 5 variations, and sort of having to kind of constantly emotionally pivot. You know, but that the challenges of it were also what made it the most fulfilling and interesting, and getting to do something where you're not playing to one camera and you're surrounded by, you know, 70 or so cameras, and getting to move and fall down, or really, it was actually incredibly liberating.
When you're not dealing with manner and props and physical reality, you're dealing basically with an empty space, so you're using your imagination. Everything's stripped down very much. It really gives you an opportunity to do what is very essential acting, and that is basically play your actions and deal with the other person. And this was a beautiful opportunity to do that. In some respects, it was a little like theater in the respect that you were able to control your rhythms more because you worked longer sequences, and also you had a different relationship to the camera, because the camera, you don't have an awareness, because the camera is everywhere, because they circle the performance space and you don't really think about it. So there was an aspect to this kind of motion capture performing that was very freeing.
Remember? It's just like a crown. Oh, yeah. Oh, now you're a little princess.
Don't worry. Everything's gonna be fine.
I'm no expert about the evolution of this gaming world. When I did a voice for James Bond, it was really a voice. It was very, I had a good time, but it was one afternoon going in. This is much more sophisticated. It's a huge market now. Also, people can commit more time and more money to the development and the making of these things, so they're far more sophisticated. When we finished filming, pretty much, we're in a space, a small space, not even as big as this room, working every day on a grid. It's almost a clinical space, like a lab. And David said, would you like to see our offices? And I'm like, or, you know, where people are working? And I'm like, okay, you know, just to be nice to the guy, I say, yeah, I'm interested. Not really, but we go up the stairs.
Time for confession.
of the door, and in there are like what seems like hundreds of people at computers, you know, working things like the texture of the skin, movement, doing all this architectural studies, doing all these timing studies. It's like a lab. The amount of work and the level of sophistication is mind-blowing. That wasn't my experience when I did a voiceover in a video game of James Bond 20 years ago.
One of the reasons why I was so excited about doing it, as I said, was just this incredible role for a young woman, like a really incredible female protagonist who was strong and complicated and real, and that to me was so interesting and so exciting just as a young woman. So if another actress had done it, and I would have been as excited, you know? And I can remember when David was first showing me renderings of like Jodie's wardrobe and all these things, and honestly when I saw it I was like, only in France. Like the reality is it can be a little more difficult in Hollywood, I guess, to show more examples of what a young woman can be. It can be more contained and roles can be more limited, and it's like sort of a very specific idea of what a woman can be and what she can look like. And so the opportunity to be a part of this and have this female protagonist and to have her be as strong as she is, and just it was just so exciting to me.
You must have family, friends, someone who could tell me who you are. You don't talk much, do you?
Bah, ça a été évidemment une opportunité extraordinaire de travailler avec des gens talentueux. J'ai eu l'immense bonheur de commencer dans mon premier jeu vidéo à travailler avec quelqu'un qui s'appelle David Bowie. Et c'est vrai que quand on travaille avec des gens qui ont ce talent-là, bah, ça donne envie d'en rencontrer plus. Et voilà, c'est un tel bonheur constant. Et on fait ce métier-là, en tout cas moi je fais ce métier-là, aussi pour rencontrer des gens de ce talent-là. Ça m'a évidemment énormément apporté à titre professionnel, personnel, ça c'est sûr. À titre professionnel, je sais pas encore, mais j'espère aussi. Mais personnellement, énormément.
I think whenever you go to do something that's totally new, and in a lot of ways quite intimidating and frightening because it's so new. I'd never done motion capture before, let alone, when I was in LA and got, a 2,000-page script and was just like looking at the amount of work we were going to be doing every day. I'm not going to lie to you. I was a little, just very intimidated. Like, can one do this, And so just the act of going and jumping into it and sort of turning off your mind to a certain extent and just sort of having to dive into it, like, that was a really beautiful experience for me personally. And that sort of blends into the professional thing of just the kind of unique challenge that this offered that you wouldn't get in a film.
It was great fun, good adventure, and I haven't seen the whole game or played the game, but it looks very beautiful, so it's always good to be part of something beautiful.